Good day, YouTube Nation. This is Zephyl, and I am proud to introduce a new video series, DCUO for Newbies. Now, DC Universe Online is a free-to-play, massive multiplayer online action game set in the popular DC comic universe, so you can play alongside characters like the Arrow, the Flash, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. It is available for PC, PS4, and PS3. Now, similar to other MMORPGs, players take on different roles in DC Universe Online: the tank, the healer, the controller, or the DPS. Unlike other games, players start the game as a DPS and do not have the option to switch to another role until level 10. Although the DPS was intended as a universal secondary role, the community made it equal, if not much more popular, than the three classic roles. Although many MMOs include weapons, DC Universe Online is part of a small minority of games where weapons replenish a character's power. Current weapon classes are Hand Blaster, Bow, Dual Pistol, Dual Wield, Brawling, One-Handed, Two-Handed, Shield, and Rifle. Now, the tank. Players who take this role will be able to absorb a lot of damage. Tanks often find themselves in the middle of big boss battles. In other MMORPGs, tanks are the group leaders, and most other players follow them. Because of this responsibility, many tanks take extra time to learn the raid before officially leading them. There is an axiom: if the tank falls, the rest will soon follow. Unfortunately, DCUO has not adopted this practice, with the tank as default raid leader. Dominance is the most important stat for DCUO tanks. This stat increases the tank's health and defense. Tanks need to maintain what is known as aggro. This keeps the enemies focused on hitting them and attacking them, while allowing their teammates to fulfill their group roles. The current tanking powers are Fire, Ice, Earth, and Rage. Healers. Players who take this role work to keep the party alive. Healers typically focus on the tank because of the aforementioned axiom. They tend to avoid close combat since healers tend to be squishy. DCO Celestial Healer is a notable exception. They heal more. Their healing ratio is related to the amount of damage they do. Most healers will continue to use range attacks to build power for their healing abilities. Restoration is the most important stat for healers. The current healing powers are Sorcery, Electric, Celestial, and Nature. Controllers. Players who take this role manage enemies on the battlefield. In DCO, they also provide additional energy to other players. They can either instantly restore power or provide POT, power over time. This helps players use their powers more often than they would be able to on their own. Controllers can stun, root, immobilize, levitate, or otherwise inconvenience the enemy. Their abilities can often take the pressure off the tank. Vitalization is the most important stat for a controller, followed by dominance. It is their dominance that allows them to stun, root, immobilize, or inconvenience the enemy. The current controlling powers are Light, Gadget, Munitions, Mental, and Quantum. The DPS. Players who take this role specialize in damage per second. Their job is to kill off the minions and sub-bosses that the controller has immobilized as soon as possible. All powers can take the DPS role. Might and or precision are the most important stats for a DPS. This depends on the player's power choice, since some powers are might based whereas others are precision based. Weapon mastery, which requires between 40 to 50 skill points to start, help DPSs fulfill their role more effectively. Weapon mastery is when a character moves through a combo attack that switches to another weapon for a finisher. It can be challenging to complete a weapon mastery combo against bosses or sub-bosses. Now, the next in this series will be a look at the 4 classes: the controller, the tank, the healer, and the DPS. One thing that is helpful, although technically all you need to do is hit the T button to switch to a DPS stat. By doing that, you really do not have the opportunity to switch out your skill points. And since different stats are important depending on your role, that is almost essential to do your role well. That is part of the reason why I have 3 armories. This one here is for my controller role, and this here is for my DPS. I will expand more on armories later on in the different roles. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Looking forward to seeing you in the game.